Imagine standing in front of your entire school, knowing they're not expecting you to shine, but to fail. That's what happened to Zariah, a poor black girl who was only called up to the stage to be laughed at. They thought it was a joke, but what came out of her mouth silenced the room and changed her life forever. This is not just a story about a voice. It's a story about courage, pain, and the power of standing tall when the world wants you to shrink. Zariah Lewis was the kind of student most people didn't notice, unless they wanted someone to blame or mock. She wore the same faded jeans every week. Her shoes had tape around the edges, and her hair was always pulled back tight because they couldn't afford salon visits. She lived with her mother and younger brother in a rundown apartment on the south side of Chicago. Her father? Gone before she could spell his name. Her mother worked 2 jobs just to keep food on the table. Zariah didn't complain. She studied hard, sang softly to herself on the bus, and dreamed big in silence. Music was her escape, but at school no one cared. She was invisible, or worse, a target. And in a school filled with privilege, cliques, and sharp tongues, Zariah's silence made her easy to mock. It started with a simple announcement. The school is holding auditions for the annual talent assembly. Anyone can sign up. Zariah didn't even consider it. But someone else did, someone who thought it would be funny. Olivia West, captain of the cheer squad, whispered with her friends in the back row during lunch. "Let's sign Zariah up to sing," she said with a smirk. "Imagine her trying to hit a note. She'll probably crack like glass." They laughed. They forged her name on the audition sheet. When Zariah's name was called over the intercom 2 days later, she froze in the middle of class. "Zariah Lewis, please report to the auditorium for your talent assembly audition." Her heart stopped. People turned to stare. "What's she auditioning for?" "Cleaning the stage," someone whispered. She walked to the auditorium with trembling hands and a stomach full of dread. The judges, 2 teachers, and the choir director were already half bored. When Zariah walked in, one of them even double-checked the list. "You're Zariah, auditioning to sing." She nodded, barely audible. There was no background music, no warm-up, just her, alone. She took a breath, closed her eyes, and then she sang. A slow, soul-crushing version of Rise Up by Andrew Day. Each word was soaked in pain, each note flawless. The auditorium was quiet. No snickering, no whispers. When she finished, even the choir director blinked back tears. "Where have you been hiding that voice?" he asked, stunned. Zariah didn't know what to say. It was the first time someone looked at her and saw more than poverty. Word spread fast. Some thought she was lying, that it was auto-tuned or faked. Others mocked her in the halls. "She's just a charity case. One-hit wonder. She won't survive 5 seconds on stage." Zariah stayed quiet, but every night, she practiced in her small room, her brother watching from the corner, wide-eyed. Her mother listened from the kitchen, tears in her eyes. "God gave you that voice for a reason," she whispered one night. "Now go show them." The talent assembly came fast. The auditorium packed with students, teachers, even parents. Zariah sat backstage, hands shaking. Olivia went up before her, a flashy dance number with backup lights and glitter. The crowd cheered. Then the mic went dead. Next up, Zariah Lewis. The room buzzed. Some laughed. Others pulled out their phones to record. She stepped out, in the same old jeans and a second-hand blouse. No costume, no music, just her. She picked the mic off the stand, looked out at the sea of faces, and sang again. This time, she chose Strange Fruit by Billie Holiday. The song, a haunting protest against racism and violence. Every syllable pierced the air. Her voice trembled at first, then soared. People froze. Some stared, jaws open. Phones dropped. Olivia shifted uncomfortably in the front row. By the last line, the auditorium was dead silent. When she finished, there was no applause. For a few seconds, the crowd sat frozen in awe. Then a standing ovation. Not polite claps. Not pity. Real admiration. Raw respect. After the assembly, the choir director ran up to her. "You have no idea how rare that is," he said, breathless. "I want you on stage in competitions. I'll help you get a scholarship." Olivia tried to save face. That was actually good, she muttered. But Zariah just smiled and walked past her, not with arrogance, but with quiet power. Later that week, the principal made an announcement. Zariah Lewis would represent the school in a citywide youth talent competition. That night, her mother cried. Not from sadness, from pride. "We don't need fancy clothes," she said. "You've got something they can't buy." Months passed. Zariah kept winning, from the city finals to state showcases. Eventually, she earned a full scholarship to a prestigious music school in New York. But she never forgot where she came from. Every year, she returns to her old school, not to sing, but to speak. She tells her story. About poverty, about racism, about pain, but most of all, about using your voice when the world tries to silence you. And every time she ends her talk, she says, "They asked me to sing as a joke." But God doesn't give gifts for jokes. He gives them to survivors. Zariah's story isn't rare. Too many children of color are overlooked, mocked, or written off, until they prove otherwise. But no one should have to suffer to be seen. Backhand index pointing right if this story touched you. Share it. Speak up. And support the voices no one is listening to. Because silence is where injustice grows. But change begins with a whisper.